All right, welcome to CAD 101, another week. Hope you guys had a good weekend. All right, so we're going to do these two examples today. So we're going to talk a little bit about example 8 and then example 9. Example 8, there's less to talk about. It's another practice part. We've got a couple angles on here. We've got some dimensions that are fractions. So once again, that's when you turn in your finished drawing, you're gonna have a 3-view drawing of this. So front view, right side view, top view, all the normal stuff. You're gonna have your dimensions written in fractions. And once again, as you go through and add dimensions, just make sure each one of these single dimensions is also found on your drawing. That will ensure that you get full points for having all of the necessary dimensions on your drawings. Also, you will have to have center point or center marks and these axes that go through your through the through hole on this part. So, all right, when we scroll down, we're going to see a little bit different information slightly. It's in inches again, and you can tell that we've got inch marks here, which are the double lines right there, and then for 1 foot we've got just the single mark there. And I know that that review is needed sometimes. So once you get to a foot, so let's say the seat is 1 foot 4 inches, instead of writing it as 16 inches, this is written as 1 foot 4. This is not my preferred dimensioning style, but it's called architectural. So when you get to choosing your style, you can go ahead and choose architectural, and that will give you dimensions that look like this. It's handy when we do floor plans. So in CAD 102, you'll want to be familiar with this architectural style. All right, so the tool that we're going to review is called the array tool. And so an array tool is going to allow you to take one item. So we're going to take one chair. We're only going to draw one chair, and then we're going to array it around the outside of a center point, which will be right in the center of our table. So we'll set up our array, or this drawing rather, with the origin at the center of this table. And then we can quickly draw the table, and then we'll talk about how to do the array. If you look at this drawing and you think you want to give it a go, you think you've got it, you can give it a good shot, and you think how to set this up and how to be successful, go ahead and go, give it a crack. Just watch the array part of this video, and then go ahead and try the rest of it on your own. If you try it and you come back, the rest of the video, I'll talk about how to lay out the chair, basically. So let's talk about the array command, and I'm going to turn my layer off here. Okay, so we've got a chair, and it's on this side of the table. Here is our array tool, which is going to be found right there. So we've got a couple of different types of arrays. They all operate pretty similarly. They produce different shapes of arrays. So we've got a rectangular array that's going to produce just a rectangular grid along a path. So you can draw a polyline and then send a shape along a path. But today we're going to look at the polar array, and you'll become familiar with how the array basically works. So we're going to click polar array, and then it says select your objects. We'll just drag a window, say enter, and we're going to specify the center point, because that's what it's asking for, is the center point. We'll say right in the center on our origin. But what you'll notice when I do that, and when you do that, is that our menu up here changes. So it jumps over to array creation. And here we see the array type, which is polar array. We can control the number of items in that array. So if we switched it to 8 and hit enter, you'll see this update the number right there. As long as you keep your cursor up here in the menu, it won't confirm the changes. It'll let you keep changing parameters as you go. So if we wanted to change, let's say the fill angle. So right now it's 360. So it's filling the entire 360 degrees. But if we say 280, it'll fill down to 280 degrees. Or you can control the angle between each item. So currently with 8 items with a 280 degree fill, the even spacing, it's 40 degrees between those parts. So pretty simple for our use today. We're going to say 360, and we're going to say 6 items. And we're back to that. Associative right here. So associative means that when this array is created, that when you go and select one of the items, all of the items are selected as a group. So the array kind of stays as one single unit. If we turn this off and we clicked OK and accepted the changes, each one of those items would be an individual part, and you could, edit each one individually. But usually you leave it as associative. It's kind of handy. So when we click OK, when we go back over to this part and click it again, it brings us back to our array menu, and we can then go back in and change settings as needed. So it's pretty helpful. We're going to leave it right there. If you think you can manage this drawing on your own, you can go ahead and give it a shot, and that's what I encourage you to do. If you get stuck or are pretty lost on how to do the armrest or the back of the chair, you can stick around. I'm going to say Control Z, and I'm going to undo the array. So we end up here. And then I'll go ahead and turn on my construction layer, and I'm going to actually just delete this right here. Okay. So one of the things you want to keep in mind as you start thinking about how to draw a part that you're given is if the part is symmetrical or not. With any symmetrical part, ideally you would like to set it up so that you can mirror your drawing over a central mirror line so that you're only drawing half the part at a time. So in this situation, the armrest is the same on this side as it is on this side. So there's no real sense in drawing two. So we're going to mirror it over that central line. But you're also going to notice that there's fillets on each corner. So I'm going to delete one of these fillets, and we'll just go over fillets real quick. Again, it's kind of a review. So we'll just kind of lengthen each one and get back to what I had originally. Okay. So when we go to the fillet tool, and let's say we've drawn a rectangle and we've got our backrest done, we're going to end up using 8 fillets in a row and try and get those done as quickly as we can. So we're going to go to the fillet tool. Fillets are always, dimensioned in radiuses because it's a partial circle. It's not a complete circle. So complete circles are dimensioned with diameters. These are radiuses. So down here, we'll select R for radius, R, enter, because that's what we want to do. And then it's already 0.5, which is the value we're looking for. We can hit enter again, and then we can start filleting. But when I finish this fillet, we're kind of kicked out. And we have to either go back up, all the way back up here and select fillet again, or a quicker way to do it is just press enter again on your keyboard and then you're right back in the fillet tool. It remembers your 0.5 from before, so you can then just start filleting again. If another way to get quickly back into a tool that you're repeating is to right click, and you can say repeat fillet just by right clicking on your mouse, and you can immediately get back into filleting. The thing that you want to think about is sequencing too. So let's say you drew your armrest and you're like, oh, I'm going to mirror it now. If you mirror this before you fillet it, you're going to send your armrest over here. And then maybe you're like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna array all these parts, and I'm gonna array it all the way around the circle. And then you add your fillets at the end. Then you're filleting. You can do the multiplication if you want, but a lot more fillets. So the quickest way to do it is to fillet this first, this armrest first. And then let's turn on our construction layer again. And we're going to mirror it over this central line. So mirror, let's do that again, mirror. Okay, select objects, enter, and then mirror line. Okay, we don't want to delete the source object, so we'll leave it on the default no, and press enter. And then we've got our armrest mirrored up here. Okay, so that about covers the best ways to draw your armrests. And as you can see, in order to get the armrest placed in the correct location, I used some construction lines. I then, used my, the line tool, and I just kind of hovered there, got an inference line, came over here to where those met, and then you can start doing a rectangle between those just with a line tool. And then if you could imagine how to draw this, it's a pretty simple use of the circle tool. So my initial circle was a 2-point circle, and I started here to here. Drew that one. I then used a normal central radius. And I used the dimensions now from the drawing, and I drew full circles. And I'm going to go R, enter, because I want a radius. Oops. Let's do this circle instead. You can bring a circle all the way out to the proper radius, and then draw one there. We would draw one there. And then you can set up your 45-degree lines, construction lines that come off the center in order to set up your end lines here and here that you can then use to trim out your circle to the correct correct length and stuff like that. So how did I know that this was this is where I should set up my construction lines, was at the center of the chair? We'll go back to the drawing, and we notice that this is 90 degrees. So this chair is obviously on a line of symmetry across this axis. And so that must mean that these two halves are 45 degrees. And we can, pretty much infer, because these circles are all concentric, visibly concentric, that this construction line is going to end up in the center of the seat, basically. And then we can set up our construction lines from there. So that's kind of the long and the short of how to set up that drawing. And you can use those tools. And yeah, the one thing that you want to carry over and use from drawing to drawing is how can you use these tools in the most efficient way? So, a lot of people will get to the end of the drawing and realize they haven't filleted those parts, and they will just simply, just use the fillet tool a whole bunch of times. But go ahead and really think about, how to be quicker, how to use that fillet tool and the other tools in correct sequence, so that you save yourself time in the end. And that's what folks in AutoCAD do all the time. They figure out how to, how they sequence their use of those tools. So the better you get to know those tools and understand how they work, the better you can predict, the best course of action in terms of efficient drawing. So yeah, practice those tools, and you'll be seeing those again later on. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out, and yeah, I'll see if I can help you. Have a good one.